Hello viewers, welcome to Dupi Animation. My name is Leo or Leonard. Okay, so today we are going to be doing a welcome back for a television breaker. Okay, so we are going to be doing this. Alright, let's not waste time and let's bring out Cinema 4D. So today we are going to be using Cinema 4D R18. Okay, so for starters, let's deal with creating the background. Okay, so to create the background, let's go to the spline menu to select a rectangular spline. Okay, then let's go to its attributes. Then the width, let's give it 1200. Then the height, let's give it something like 800. Okay, then let's give it a rounding. All right. Okay. All right, let me pull it up, position it on top of the plane. All right. Okay, so we have this. Now let's make it editable. To make it editable, just hit C on your keyboard to make it editable. All right. After that, let's go to point mode. Go and select point mode. Then you come to the attribute, then uncheck close spline. Okay. So after you have unchecked the close spline, let's delete a couple of the points. So I'll select this one, hold the shift key, select this one, and select this one. Let me select this one also. Then delete. Okay. So I'll be left with this spline, this L spline. If you think that it's not big enough for you, you can still pull it up. So let me go back to the points mode again, then select the top one, then pull it up. Select this one also, pull it out. Okay, let me go back to my object view. All right, so with this, I think this is okay for me for what I'm doing. Okay, what to do next is to insert in a sweep nerve. So let me go to the subdivisions. Let me come here, the subdivision, and select sweep nerve. Okay, then I'll drop. Okay, let me name the edited rectangle line. Let me name it line so that we won't confuse ourselves. Line, then drop it inside the sweep nerve. Okay, now let's go back to the spline menu and select another rectangular spline. Okay, and this one, let's come to its attributes, and on the width, let's give it something like 11, and on the height, let's give it something like 280. Okay, now let's drag and drop it also inside the sweep nerve on top of the line. Okay, so in this case, these two, the rectangle and the line, becomes a child to the sweep nerve. Okay, all right, so after this, let's duplicate it by holding the command key, then click and drag to duplicate. Okay, now double click to select the duplicated one, then name it something like outer, then name the top one inner. Okay, now select outer, then select the rectangle, change its width to 10, then the height to something like it can be something like 55,000. 55,000. Hey, that is way too much. So let me just make it 50,000. Let me make it 50,000. Okay. So now we have this. Okay. We have this. We have an L kind of object, a shape here for the background. Okay. Now let's color it to differentiate it. All right. So come to your color menu here or column here, then click on create new material. Okay, then after creating the new material, double click on it, then go to its attributes to do some changes. So let me select something like blue. Okay, this blue, a strong blue. Let me come the softer a little. Okay, so this one is okay for me. All right, then come to reflection. All right, then on reflection, let me change the type, that's specular blend, to something like reflection legacy. Then increase the reflection strength, then reduce the roughness or take it out. Or so I'll have something like this. Let me keep the reflection at something like 25. Okay, all right, then I'll apply it to the outer. Okay, then hold the control key, click and drag the material to duplicate it, then name this one inner, then double click on it to reveal this in, then come to its color, then maybe change the color to a lighter blue. Okay, a lighter blue. All right, then apply it to the inner one. So you have something like this. Okay, all right, I think we are good to go. Okay, so now we are done with creating the background. Now let's insert in a text. Okay, let's go to, on the menu bar, let's go to MoGraph, then select mode text. Okay, so we have our mode text here. All right, now let's come to the mode text attributes. Then on alignment, let's change it to middle. Then come to coordinates, then rotate it. All right, so let's give it to 90 degrees. All right, now let's change the font. Let's come to objects and type in something like back. Okay, now the font type, let's change the font type. Let me see what kind of font let me see. Okay, let me select this one, round black. Okay, let's bulk here. All right, let me see. So the reflection is too strong, so let me reduce it a bit. Let me reduce the reflection a bit. Let me go something like 15. Then this one to 15. So that it will be softer a little. So I have this. Okay. All right. So now the text that we have here is back. Let me increase the depth within it to something like let me check 200 and see. Let me check 200 and see. Okay, 200 is okay. So let me make it something like 250. So the depth within it is 250. All right. Let me bring it forward. Okay, let's move it forward here. All right. So we have our first test. Back. Okay. So now that we are done with our text, actually what we are working on today is dynamics. Okay. We are going to be using dynamics to animate the text. So we are going to be using a rigid body dynamics. Okay. So after creating the text and do all the little things about it that you need to do, so we have our background and our text. So the background, the outer one, right click on it, then come to simulation tags. Okay, right click on it and come to simulation tags. Then select rigid body. Okay, so after selecting rigid body, come to its attributes and click on collision. Okay, collision. Then where it says shape automatic, change from automatic to static mesh. Okay, all right. Other than that, if you do not do that and it is automatic, this is what will happen. Watch. You see that it has 4. That's dynamic speaking. It has 4. So you have to change it to static so that it will be stagnant there. It will be unmovable there. All right? So watch. Okay. So now select the test. Select the mode test. Then name it back. Then right click on it. Then come to simulation tag again. Then select rigid body again. Okay. And on this one, don't touch anything. Just leave it as it is. Okay. Then let's switch the views to orthographic view. All right. Then let's see. Let me pull this one, the back up, so that it disappears away from the camera. So we have this. Let me go back to our active view here. Okay. So now, what we have done now is the text is hanging up in the sky. Okay. So once we play it, it will fall. It's acting on it as something like a gravity. So once we play, it will fall. So we watch this. You see that? Let me increase the frame to something like 200. So let's see. All right. You see that it has 4. Okay. The 4 is too heavy. So the bounciness, let me come to the rigid body attributes. And on it, the bounciness, let's put the bounciness to something like 15. Then the friction to something like 5. Okay. Now let's watch again. Okay, I think this one is way better. Okay. All right. So what we do next is we will duplicate the back. So you hold the command key, control key, then click and drag to duplicate. Then name it, the next one, welcome. Welcome. Okay. So now let's change from back to welcome. Welcome. All right. Okay. Reduce the size. Reduce the size. Then the depth. Let me give the depth something like, let me just make it 200. Then push it. Let me put it on top of the back. All right. So now we have this welcome back. Let's move our timeline forward. Then let's come here. What you are going to do is, you see that they are all hanging up there, but on the same plane. All right. So what we do is we will put one under the other. Okay. So let's the back fall first, then the welcome lands on it. So the arrangement will be like this: the back under first, then the welcome on top a little bit. So now let's come closer in our background. Okay, so we have this. Now let's play it and see. You see? You see? They all fall. Okay, but the rate at which they fall, the back came in first, then the welcome land on it. Okay. All right. So let me give it its actual depth of 250 and see if it will retain the mass so that it won't be moving anyhow. Okay. So let's retain its mass or depth. Okay. So we have this. Welcome back. All right. So this is just a simple welcome back breaker for television. Okay. All right. So now that we have this, what we can do next is creating the floor, which is the star on the floor. So we'll come to spline and select star spline. Okay. And let's rotate it on 90 degrees. So we have this. Okay. Let me pull it up to show you. So this is the star. Now let's go to object view on its attributes. Then the point is 5. Okay. Now let's scale it up, the outer. So let's scale it up. I think it's enough. Something like, let me go something like 400. Then the inner, let me check 200. 200 is too much. So let me go something like let me check 150. Okay, 150 is okay. So now that on plane, let me change the plane to something like XZ. Then go to the subdivisions again. Then select extrude. All right. Click and drag the star into the extrude to extrude it. Okay. Then the extrusion depth. Let's come here into the middle, the Y. Then make it either 50% to extrude it. Then here, there's a default extrusion here, which was the 20. So make it 0. Okay. All right. So now let's bring it down. All right. And let's position it under the back. Okay. So we have something like this. Okay. You can soften the edge if you want. You can come to the extrusion, then come to caps, then select fillet caps to round the edge. Okay. So fillet cap to round the edge. So let's round the edge there. Okay. So you see that the edge is smooth. All right. So now that we have our star under, what you need to know is you have to give it also a rigid body so that it will also be stable there. Other than that, when you play your animation, the webcam will come and land inside it as it is here right now. You are seeing it. But when you apply the rigid body to it, it will land on top of it. Okay. So let's see. Example. You see, it has landed inside. Okay. So let's, where is it? Extrude. So I will click on the rigid body on the outer one, then hold the command key, then click and drag it onto the extrusion so as not to be creating a whole new one again. So I'll just duplicate this one. So now let's play it and see. Okay. Now you see how it landed on it perfectly. All right. So after this, you are done with your animation basically, unless you want to add more things to it. Okay. Which is, you see that the example that I played, I tiled up the star. So it was something like 3 stars. So if you want to do something like that, you can just duplicate the star, then reduce the size of the spline, something like that. But for now, let me just leave it like this. So let's create a new color, or let's apply the blue color to the extrude. Okay. So you have something like this. Okay. If the reflection is too strong, you can still reduce it if you want. Just come to reflection, then reduce it to something like 10%. All right. Okay, let me reduce this one to 10%. All right. So now, what we are going to do is we are going to create the balls. Okay, the balls falling. Now the balls, we are going to use a meter. We are not going to use just tile the balls in the cloner, then place it up there, then they will fall. Now we are going to use a meter. Okay. So we come to, first let's create the ball. So let's come to the object mode and select sphere. Okay. So this is our sphere. let's reduce it to something like, let me see, 50%. Okay, 50% is okay. Then the segments within it, let me make it something like 100. So it's okay, so that it will be smoother. Now let's go to simulate. Okay, simulate, then select, then go to particles, then emitter. Okay, so you have your emitter here. Okay, so this is the emitter. See the small box there? Okay, that's your emitter. Okay, so let me play it for you to see. You see that? See that it's going this direction. So if let me reduce the ball to something like 30. Okay, so if you place the ball inside it, it will move in that direction. Okay, let me increase the size of the emitter. So on X size, let me make it 200. Then Y size, let me make it 200 also. I think this is enough. All right, so first let's create a color and apply it to the ball. So I'll just hold the command key, then click and drag this one to duplicate it. Then let me name it ball. Then go inside it, then come to color. So what color would I give the ball? Okay, let me give it this one. Okay, let me give it this brighter than lighter kind of bluish color. Okay, now let me create another ball again. Then give it another color. Let me see. Let me just give it the purple. The mauve. I think the mauve is okay. All right. So let me give it this one then. All right. So let me click and drag the sphere inside the emitter. Okay. Then let me apply a color to it. Then hold the command key. Then click and drag the sphere again to duplicate it. Okay. So we have two spheres inside. Now let me change the color of the next one. Okay. Okay. So let me move the emitter to the other side of the test. Let me move it, position it to the other side of the test a little. Okay. I don't want it to come inside our camera view when I position the camera well. Okay, so I think it's too far away, so let me bring it near a bit. Okay, all right. So after this, all that you have to do is just come to the emitter again, all right? Then come to its properties. Then on particles, make it show object. Okay, you check the show object. Then let me see. The speed is 150 centimeters. Then end scale is 1. So let me give it a variation of 100. Variation of 100, so that there will be variation inside it. And remember, apply dynamics, a rigid body dynamics to the sphere also. Okay? Other than that, they will just be going in line like that. They won't fall. All right? So if you don't want to worry yourself, just hold the command key, then click and drag the one beside the text onto it. Okay? So as not to waste your time creating a new one. So let's go back and see. You see that? You see? You see? Okay. I think the variation within the balls, the scale variation is too big. But it's not bad though. You can reduce it if you want. Let me see, variation of 50%. Let me see. I think this one is okay. Okay, so now let me position our camera well. So we have this. Okay. As simple as that. A simple welcome back breaker for TV. Okay. Well, folks, as it is now, we are done. So all that we left is maybe work on the rendering aspect. So now let's go back to our render edit settings. Okay, then let's select a few things here. Then you come to effects, then select ambient occlusion. Okay, I like to use ambient occlusion a lot. All right, so after this, let's insert in a light material. Okay, so let's put the light up. Okay, let me see. So you have this. Okay, let me position the lights well. I think this is okay. Now let's come to where the subdivision is and come to array. Then let's select the array. Okay. Now let's hold the command key, then click and drag the lights into the array so that it will look like I've duplicated the light into the array. So I have one light inside the array. Now select the array, then pull it up. Okay. So now when you see the array is something like 7 colors, 7 lights here, 7 light rays here. Okay. So let me reduce the number of lights to something like 3 or so. Okay. So I think it's 4. That's 4. So let me reduce it more. Okay. So after this, just open it up. So I'll type something like 800, 850. Let me go more. 1,000, 15,000 or so. 1,500 or 1,550. So let me see what we have here. Let me see what we have first. Okay, it's not bad at all. All right. If the light is too intense, you can still reduce it. Let me soften the light a bit. Let me go to the array, then select the light inside it. The intensity, let me bring the intensity down. Let me go something like 80. 80. Okay, 80 is okay. So 80 is okay. All right. So this is our final animation. Let's play it. Okay. A simple welcome back breaker for this in television. Okay. All right. So after you have done doing your setting up and everything, the final rendering, just come to the edits, render edits settings. Then you come to outputs. Then if the resolution is 72, you are okay with 72, you keep it there. If you are not okay, you change it to something like 300. Okay. Then the frame, your starting frame is 0. Now your ending frame is where 250 or so, or 290. 290. That's your ending frame. Okay. Then you come to save. Okay. Then maybe I like to do my renderings in PNG, so I'll change it to PNG. Then click the file output. So where you want to render, you select the folder. Then let me create a mini folder here. Then name it render. Render. Okay. Now double click and go inside and type up next. Okay. So after this, maybe if you add something, then it's just camera. All right. So you can just insert in a simple camera whereby, okay, let's insert in a simple camera. So I want the camera where it is. Let me open the eye. Let me move the timeline to something like 60 frame. Okay, 60 frame. Then click on the key to set a key. Then move the timeline backwards. Then move the camera, zoom in the camera. Okay, so I'll have something like this. Then set a key. So now let's play it and see. Okay, simple. You see that? All right, so after this, let's render. So just click on the render key, then it starts rendering. All right? You see that it's rendering it frame by frame, okay? Frame by frame. So you might get something like 1,000 something frames, okay? So once you go to After Effects and select one, it will load the rest and play it as a video. Then you do whatever touches you want to do there, then render your video, okay? All right. So as not to waste time, guys, we will pause this for now. After the rendering, then we continue, okay? All right, guys. So let's see what we have. So we have something like this. You see that? Simple. So let's pull up After Effects, okay? So this is After Effects. So all that you have to do is just right click in here, then come to Import, File, then go to where, then come to, I think it was the desktop that I was rendering it to. So up next, render, okay? So you just select one, then import. It will import the rest, okay? So just click and drag it onto our composition here. The caps lock is on, so let me off it. All right. So here is it in After Effects. Let's play it. You see? Okay. So here is it. Although it hasn't finished rendering, so this is what we have in After Effects. So after this, you can do whatever you want to it in After Effects. Then after that, you render it as video. Okay. So guys, this comes to the end of our tutorial. So kindly subscribe, like, and comment, okay? And whatever you want me to do a tutorial on, you can let me know in the comment section, okay? See you next time.